Two guys doing a podcast. Two guys doing a podcast. Two guys doing a podcast. Podcast. Ow.
So, apparently what happened recently, I don't know if you've heard about this, but Canada just made two new deals to acquire two different vaccines for COVID.
Okay.
COVID-19. These will be available as early as spring of next year, so coming soon.
To a
Very excited.
theater near you.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Of course, there's tons of companies that are creating vaccines that are trying to help us right now in the situation during our pandemic. But what I want to know from you, what I want to ask you is when this vaccine is available, there's a follow-up to this, but I want to get the first one out. When the vaccine is available, will you yourself, sir, be getting vaccinated for COVID-19?
Yeah, no, I will not. That doesn't mean I will never get a vaccination for COVID-19. I do believe in vaccines. My daughter's been vaccinated. I do believe in vaccines, but when Apple puts out a new product, like when they put out a new iPhone, there's always so many recalls. You watch the news, cars recalling their new vehicles all the time. There's little glitches. Recalls all the time, new products. This is going in my body. I expect there to be some glitches that need to be worked out. When the pandemic first started, they were talking about vaccinations. When is it going to happen? Bro, they talked about vaccinations happening years from now. Years from now. You mean to tell me a year and a half? You got one ready to go? So, again, no. Not because I don't believe that they will never have one that will be extremely effective. I just don't think that the first rollout is going to be very effective. Also, the reason why I don't think that is because, yes, of course they've done testing. But they've done short-term testing. What about 10 years from now? What about 15 years from now? What kind of effects is that going to have on me? So, no. Now, at the same time, that doesn't necessarily mean I'm going to wait 10, 15 years to get a vaccination for COVID. I'm just saying I'm not going to be the first person in line to get one. So, no, I'm not getting it. What about you?
No way, no how. Let me give you a scenario now. Let's say they come out with the vaccine and it's still the first rollout, so it hasn't been proven. But it's easier when it's been proven and all that stuff. It's easier to say, yeah, I'm gonna go get it. Yeah, all of that. But let's say it's been the first rollout or whatever, and you sir have a family. You have a wife and a daughter.
Right, I do.
Right? Okay. So let's say you yourself get COVID. Somehow,
God forbid. God forbid.
Yes, exactly. You know what I mean? But let's say that you do get COVID. This vaccine is available for you. Does that change? Does that change your thinking of whether or not you get the vaccine now?
Well, I mean, if you look at the cases, and there's been millions of them, obviously, right? But just the ones that are more, put out there, publicized. Some people, they get it, they get sick. 2-3 days later, they're gone. Some people, they get it, they don't get sick at all. They don't even know they have it. Some people. So I guess what I'm trying to say is I would sort of watch it. I mean, I'm certainly not going to be like, you know what, forget that. I'm not trusting it. Meanwhile, I'm on my deathbed. I'd be like, are you kidding me? I'll stab myself with it. You know what I mean? Right. But as a preventative measure, no. And the reason I say no is because COVID has been happening since January. We're in September, brother. And, unless I've had it already and didn't know, and again, God willing, nobody in my family ever gets it. What I've been doing so far, and as a country, and where I live, has been working. So why would I not just continue to do the same thing? You know what I'm saying? Unless something, again, God forbids, it happens where all of a sudden Canada turns into America. You know what I mean? Where you can't bump into a wall without getting it. Then my train of thought might be a little bit different.
So the same situation that I just posed to you will take you out of harm's way. And now we're going to put you in harm's way. Once again, God forbid, knock on wood, have to say. But she gets COVID. There's a vaccine. It's the first rollout. Do you take the chances and say, listen, I've been doing what I've been doing?
To answer your question, God forbid my daughter was to ever get COVID. Matter of fact, let's not even say my daughter, but I understand what you're saying. But no, she would still not. I would still not give her this. First of all, that's a conversation I have to have with my wife because it's our child. But if it was left up to me, the answer would be no. The reason why the answer would be no is because the fatality rate of COVID is less than 1%, and even my daughter is 20 months old. So.
Yeah.
I want to know if there's a case. I could Google it right now, but I don't believe there's a case where a child that young has died. So absolutely not would I roll the dice and take the gamble on something like that. Absolutely not. I wouldn't do that. No. Yeah. What about you? Are you going to get the vaccine when it comes out, when it drops, just like the new Yeezys? You're going to be in the lineup?
Hell no. I'm not getting the vaccine, but like, I have to give you the opposite side so that we can get a clear opinion. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not getting it. I don't believe in vaccines or shots, period.
You've never been vaccinated?
I had to get the ones that were mandatory. Obviously, there's certain shots that you have to get.
Why?
They gave everybody the hepatitis shot.
Why do you have to get them?
My opinions of shots have changed over the years. That's the only reason that I've had shots before and I haven't had shots within the last like how many years.
This my thing is Dre, is it's all about time. Time tells everything. So I have some friends who have children they're not vaccinated. You know, the ones that you have to get, they're not vaccinated.
Like hepatitis.
They're not vaccinated, period. And
that means that their parents made that decision for them.
Yes, but
okay, that's the difference.
But my thing is I look at it like I've been vaccinated. These mandatory shots, I've had them. And God willing, I've had no negative effects from having these shots. If I've had a personal experience, whether it be me or my siblings or friends or whatever, who their kids have had these shots or they've had the shots even and they've been adversely affected by the shots, I might think differently. So I have to look at it and say, well, I've had it. I'm perfectly fine. Why would I not protect my own by taking the shot? It worked for me. It should work for her. Now, granted, of course, it's very possible that it won't work for her, but I'm just saying my experience tells me it will be okay. This COVID vaccine, we don't know what we're doing. We don't know what we're doing. It's been tested, yes, but not tested to the scale of time. These shots have been around forever. I won't put my age out there, but you know what I'm saying? I'm all right after these shots. So I say, okay. That's why I say with the vaccination, hell no. But here's the thing. There's talks about it being mandatory. Like if you don't, like you get certain things taken away from you. Your child can't go to school or you can't go to work or whatever it is. So it's weird because, and not to even go down this path, but I mean, you know, are you Christian?
My family is.
Okay, so if your family, that's fine. That's fine. It's another conversation. But your family's Christian, so you already know the mark of the beast, right?
Right.
This is all par for the course, baby. I'm not trying to say that this is that. I'm not trying to say that this is that. But all I'm trying to say is the way that they are positioning this, like you have to do it or else. You could align that and you could see a very clear parallel to, oh shit, this is Mark of the Beast. You know what I mean? And again, I'm not saying that's not the reason I wouldn't get the vaccination, because I think it's Mark of the Beast. I'm also not saying that it's not, but I'm just saying that's not the reason why I wouldn't do it. The reason why I wouldn't do it is the points that I made before. But I mean, it is weird.
I'm with you because I was gonna bring up the whole topic of them making it mandatory for certain things. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If you want to get to apply for your passport, or if you have to apply for this, you might have to give this document that states that you've been vaccinated somehow and all of these things and stuff like that. You know what I mean?
Right.
If they do employ those things, or if you want to go into a venue, you have to have a vaccination. If they do employ those things, I'm still not getting it either. Like, that's not going to make me get it either. I guess I'm not traveling. I guess I'm not going to any club. I'm going to wait for Pablo or whoever else to start their business of fake vaccine
You know what's coming.
document. It's going to happen at some point. I'm going to wait for that. I'm going to get the fake ones. We're going to figure that out. You know what I mean? Because I'm just not with them forcing you to do something. You can't tell me what's good for me. I feel like the problem, and what you're talking about, the people coming down on others for not wearing masks, is a society thing. It's just the way that the whole mask has been portrayed, and the whole way this virus has been portrayed. What's obvious is that there's still confusion about the whole virus. Because if people fully understood what was going on, there wouldn't be as much animosity towards those who don't wear the mask.
Right.
If you understood what these medical masks that people are wearing, which were surgical masks, what their actual purpose is in the first place, it's weird that they were just automatically converted and had all the materials built into them already to combat COVID. That's crazy to me. Like, you didn't have to change anything about these masks.
Right.
To combat this brand new virus. These are just regular surgical masks that Dr. Paul had been wearing for his surgery that he gave, his C-section that he might have gave. Like, this is the same mask that we're using for COVID. Like,
Right.
I get where I'm totally with you on all of that. You know, I say that to say this. The thing about COVID and the way that they're doing it, regardless of whether or not it's targeted, whether or not if they're clear about it, the thing about it is, one thing that people always say to me is, people are dying from something. They're dying. There's something. I don't care.
But COVID's killing people. COVID's killing people.
You can call it COVID. You can call it whatever you want. It doesn't matter. There's something out there that is killing people. The whole wearing the mask thing, I'm not for it, but I wear it when I'm in certain areas. Like, let's be real. There was at the beginning where on my Instagram page, I had the little story where I was in Costco and I didn't have my mask on. And I felt like I was big and I was bad. I sat down with a friend who has a child who has 2 daughters. And he goes, Dre, you know what? Sometimes you got to think about other people other than yourself, man. You're being selfish. Whether or not you want to believe that this is real, it's killing people out there. You know what I mean? And this is the way that this is the only way that we know how to combat it. Whether it's real or whether it's not, it's all we know. I'm not a scientist. You're not a scientist. This is what he's saying to me. We're not doctors. We don't know. All we can do is go off what we have. And if me putting on a mask, whether or not I agree with it, is going to save somebody else's daughter's life, it's going to save my daughter's life, then guess what? I'm going to put on the fucking mask.
Exactly.
Out in public. Or I'm not going to go out in public. I'm going to sit my ass on my fucking couch, collect my serve, and we're going to call it a day. And I'm not going to wear no mask.
If they do make it truly a mandatory thing where it could be, punishable by a fine, jail time.
Or you might just lose certain privileges.
Forget that. I'm going on the extreme here. So by a fine,
punishment,
jail time, you know what I mean? I
Right.
think that you will really start to see civil unrest, like a real revolt. I mean, it's happening right now in America with all the protests. The protests are getting insanely crazy. But these protests are stemming from, police brutality. Well, we've had the conversation at length already. So now this is just, people upset about the police, and just people of color just trying to be treated as equal. That's just that. That's a small fraction. That we want the whole world to care about that, but the whole world doesn't care about that. So if you now take that anger and then you couple it with, guess what, world, everyone, doesn't matter what color you are, do this or else, bro. This is why I talk about the mark of the beast and I make that parallel. Because the government, yeah, they run shit. The police, yeah, they run shit. But the government is like a very small percentage of the world's population. And if you're telling the entire world to do something or else, jail time, fines, things like that, plus people ain't making any money think that the whole world is going to be like, I don't think so. You thought those protests were something? We'll show you what a fucking protest is. This is why I say things like, me and other people say things like, these are a sign of the end of days. If they try to push that, whoever you think is the most laid back, come on, just go with it. That person is all the way at 10. That person is all the way at 10 now. Because, like I told you last week, I've never been to a protest before. I haven't been to, I'm not saying I won't go to one, but I haven't been to a protest before. But if it gets to a point where my daughter can't get an education because you're forcing me to inject something in her body that I believe hasn't been properly tested, guess who's going to be at that protest? Guess who's probably going to be smashing shit? Maybe burning a couple of things. I'll give you a hint. He's got 2 thumbs wearing a purple shirt. This guy. Fucking kidding me?